Hi, I'm Jonathan Rollins, and this is my In the Back for the 2024 season. I recently signed with Team FlyRite, and I'm looking very forward to representing them this year. First, I'll start with my putters. I like to putt with PA-3s. These are the new NHL-themed PA-3s that they've recently released. I really like these because they're much more stable than any other PA-3s I've thrown in the past, and I like them both for throwing and for putting. I can put these on just about any line and it'll hold them for me, and they don't really like to fight out that much. It's perfect stability in my opinion. I also, for throwing putters, have two Envies. I have one of the brand new Eagle McMahon Rebirth Envies. This is quite stable compared to any other Envy I've thrown before. I'll put it on a line. It doesn't like to turn over. It just likes to hold it with a nice generous fade on the end. I also have this older Eclipse Envy. I've beaten this one into the point where no matter what line I put it on, it'll just go, but it goes so far for me, and I just love the way it feels in my hand, and I probably won't ever take this out of my bag. For turnover shots, I have a FlyRite stamped PA-5. Shout out to Nolan for giving this one to me. I love this disc and I appreciate it a lot. For my approach disc, I have 4 of them. I have an Atom Hammies Glow Zone that I got from my friend Aaron Van Hook, also Team FlyRite. This one is a rather straight forehand zone for me. A little bit of flex in it. I could probably throw about maybe 250 max distance, but I feel like it's pretty good for me in my forehand with the zone. This is a Champions Cup edition zone. This zone is very overstable compared to the other. I mainly use this one in headwinds for my forehand, or if I just need a nice dump on the end. It'll hold a straight line for a little while, but when it decides to fade out, it's fading hard. This is an A3. This is my primary go-to for nice spike hyzer forehands or little chip shots up. I just prefer the feel of the A3 compared to the A2, and if you can find a board flat A3, I argue it's about as stable as an A2, but I just prefer the feel of it with the bead for the forehand. And last but certainly not least is my Megasoft Harp. Those of you that know me know that I love the Megasoft Harp. I can put it on any line I want, and as soon as it hits the ground, it's going to stick and not skip at all. It's just point and shoot. Once it hits, it's stuck there. I love it. I won't take these out of my bag anytime soon. They are a staple in my bag for sure. Now we'll move on to my mid-ranges. First, I'll start with the hexes. I have 3 of them in my bag. This is one of the first run Lizaddles. I've beaten this one up a lot at this point. This would be my flippier hex of the 3. I put this one on some hyzer, and it just likes to turn over for me, especially into a headwind. Those have nice long turn and just hold it. It doesn't really just dump out, it just holds that nice turn for a long period of time. I have one of the watermelon hexes. This one's more my neutral straight hex. This one, put it on any line, very similar to the Fly of a Buzz, but I prefer the slim feel of the hex, get a little bit better grip on it. This one's just dead straight, and I just love the look of the watermelon as well. I can't get away from it. Then I have one of the new Total Eclipse Lizaddles, one of the Halloween edition. This is actually really stable. This is what I thought the Lizaddle would be in terms of stability, and I really like this one. This one, if I put it on some hyzer, it doesn't turn over. It just holds it and just glides forever. I really like this for my nice, just even slight flip up, just a little bit. It's not going to turn over though. It just holds and goes with a nice dependable fade on the end of it. Then I have 2 Pyros. This one's my Schrader Pyro. I mainly use this one on forehands. Backhand, it feels a little bit more stable for me. Forehand, I can flex it a little bit. This one I've had for probably about half a year now. I've beaten it up a good amount, and it does just hold a nice line, but this one will never turn over for me unless I throw it on the forehand and give it a flex. But backhand will never turn over. It'll just hold the line. Nice, dependable dump on the end. So Watermelon Pyro maybe much older than the other one, but this one is much more stable. This is pretty beef. Not quite to deflector level, but it is beefy. And I like for this for a nice dependable, just hold it and let it just hook. It's not forehand or backhand. I am not turning this one over. It will hold for a little bit and then have a nice dump on the end. Watermelon Pyro. I have an MD5. This is one of the prototype runs. These, when I first felt them, I knew that I would love them and that they would be absolute money for me. I can rip on these as hard as I want, and it just has a nice line and just absolutely dumps. Very overstable. I love the way these fly. These are great disc. If you have not tried one of the new MD5 runs, I highly suggest trying them. They are very good. I love the feel of that rim and the way it fits in your hand for a forehand. It's very nice. Then on to my fairways. I'll start with probably my favorite fairway driver, the FD1s. I have an S-Line FD1. This one is at the point where I can flex it pretty well. I can get this to go about 400. I'll just throw it flat and I'll have a nice little flex on it, flip up, and then just dive back at the very end. Nice little flex shots I throw with this FD1. If it's windy, I can hold it for a nice dependable turn the whole time. Very nice disc. The Skywalker is probably my favorite out of all the FD1s. This one, if I put it on full power, will hold dead straight with a nice little bit of fade on the end. It doesn't ever turn over, forehand or backhand for me. It just holds straight for about 320 and then has the fade for like the last 80. This is a great disc, and I highly suggest these to anyone that hasn't tried them either. Now the C-Line FD1. One of my favorite things about the FD1s is the way they vary based on the plastic. The first time I threw the S-Line one, it went straight, a little bit of turn. The Skywalker was straight with fade, and the C-Line was just stable. And still to this day, as much as I've beaten it, it's still stable. I love throwing this one forehand. It will go on a straight line, have a nice hook dump, nice skip and everything. But it's more of a controlled skip, not a crazy skip, a nice controlled one. And I use FD1s a lot. They are very good, very dependable disc, and I highly recommend them to anyone that hasn't tried them. I also have a Discmania Essence. This is more of my flippy fairway driver. If I throw this and get the line right with it, I'll put on some hyzer and it'll turn over. This one, even though it's just an 8-speed, I can get up to 500 feet. It just goes so far, has so much glide on it. It just carries forever and always has such a pretty flight. I absolutely love the Essence. I bagged them for a long time and I've taken them out, but I've recently gone back to them and I do not regret it. I love throwing the Essence. They just go forever and just have nice flex lines, and I absolutely love that. I also have Discraft Passion. Shout out to my buddy Jake Wiederhold for telling me to try these out, because I was skeptical about them at first, and he told me that I really needed to try out the Passion. And as much as I love to hyzer flip disc on my backhand, he told me I would love to throw a Passion. And I got my hands on this Glo one, and he was right. I absolutely love this. I'll put it up on the hyzer flip, easy 420, 450, just dead straight, hardly any turn or fade. It just holds and just settles. And it's something I've been looking for a long time that I haven't quite found. And I absolutely love it. I'm looking to get more of these in the future. Then I have 3 Raptors. I know some people say 9 speeds are fairways, 9 speeds are distance drivers. I classify them as fairway drivers. I have 2 Aaron Gossage Raptors. This one I've had in my bag for a little while. It is quite flippy at this point. I put some awesome flex lines on this. I can get this one to about 320 on my forehand, which for my forehand's pretty good. Backhand, I can get about 420. If I put on hyzer, it'll flip up, ride, and then just have a nice dump on it. I really love this Raptor. I plan on keeping this in my bag probably for the whole season. I use this so much, and it's such a good disc. It can do just about anything for me. I have this newer orange Aaron Gossage Raptor. This one is very overstable. Almost Cap Wrap overstable, but not quite Captain's Raptor overstable. If I throw this thing flat, it's gonna have a nice dump to it. It flies about how I expected this one to fly at first, but this one was just flippier out of the box. This one is pretty beefy. I like it a lot. It just got a nice straight flight with a heavy fade on the end. Good, nice, overstable 9-speed, essential to your bag. And I have this Z-Glo Raptor, and this one is a beefcake. This one is so beefy. This is my utility fairway driver. It just dumps no matter what line you throw it on. If I throw on a ton of anhyzer, it will just come back and just absolutely dump. It is so stable and very useful for getting out of the woods or get out of jail shots. Now I'll move on to my distance drivers. I have a PD. Now, some people will ask why I have a PD and Raptors. PDs are special. There's something about that 10-speed overstable driver. It's just different than the feeling of a 9-speed overstable. I don't know what it is. The flight's different. It does go further, and the feel of it's just different. I just like having it in my bag. I do pull it out a good amount for nice. I'll throw it on hyzer and just let it hold the hyzer line the whole way and just dump. It'll always have a nice skip, and it just about always does what I want it to. And backhand, it's never going to turn over. It's just going to hold its line, and it's going to dump at the end. I love the PD. I always like to have one of them in my bag, and I'm not planning on taking it out anytime soon. Another shout out to Nolan. He gave me this DD1 whenever I threw it out at Deerfield, about 475 feet the first time I ever threw it, and crushed it. It is an absolute bomber. If you put this thing on a little bit of hyzer and get the line right, this thing goes forever. At first when I saw the DD1, I didn't think it would be something I'd like, and he just told me to throw it one day, and I absolutely crushed it. I love the DD1. Put on a good amount of hyzer, it'll flip up to flat, and it just glides for days. It's like a Wraith, but just a pinch flippier, and I like that kind of disc. It's just very nice, and I love it for nice bomber shots. I also have a Scorch. This is my flippy distance driver. Actually, I roll this a good amount as well. This one's really flippy. This is a Valerie Mondahano Scorch. I bought this from FlyRite recently, and it's so understable. And no matter how much hyzer I'll put it on, it'll always fight back. So I started throwing on rollers, and it honestly feels like a faster Roadrunner, and I love it for rollers. It's actually a really good roller disc, and I've been enjoying throwing this a lot. I have 4 Wraiths in my bag. Start with my flippiest one. This is a super pop top 162 gram Star Wraith. This goes forever. It is quite understable, so I have to be careful when I throw it, but if I'm in an open field and there's not much wind and I can get behind this, I am getting effortless distance off of this. This one goes so far, and I really, really do enjoy throwing this Wraith. This is my main Wraith. This Halo USDGC doubles Wraith that I got from USDGC last year. This Wraith, it always just does what I want to. I'll put on just a little bit of hyzer, it'll flip up and just ride, and then have a nice little bit of fade on the end. Good, dependable distance driver. It's about all you can ask for out of a distance driver. It does what you want it to, and it doesn't get me into trouble. Here's another Star Wraith with a nice limited time stamp on it. This one I mainly have in here just like as a backup for my Halo Wraith. I don't throw it too much. I got it pretty recently. I do like the way it flies a lot. It flies very similar to this Wraith, so I'm looking forward to using this one a good amount this year. I also got this Champion Gummy Wraith. This feels so incredible in the hand, but was shockingly stable when I started throwing it. it has a very nice fly to it. I have to throw it flat. If I put any hyzer on it, it will never come out. If I throw it flat, it will just go, not turn over, and have a nice dump on it. So it's more of my overstable but not ridiculously overstable distance driver. And last but not least is a Discraft Nuke. This is if I'm in an open field and I just need to absolutely put all I have into something, I'm going to throw this. This goes so far effortless distance, and I don't even have to try that hard, and I can easily get this one to go over 500 feet. These things go so far, and yeah, no, I'm thankful I have this one in my bag because it's got me out of trouble a couple times now. And that's about all I have in my bag. I'm looking forward to sponsoring FlyRite this year and all the things to come doing it. I'll see y'all out on the course. Thank you.